All right, so today we're going to jump into a homily from Father Blair, the campus padre, that tackles one of the absolute biggest questions we can ask. What does it really take to be saved? It's a huge topic, so let's just dive right in. So, it all kicks off with this one single question. Somebody in a crowd asked it to Jesus 2,000 years ago, and let's be honest, people are still asking it today.
Lord, will only a few be saved? It's so blunt, right? You can almost feel the tension in the question. The person asking just wanted a number, a simple statistic, some kind of insider info on who's in and who's out.
But Jesus does what he so often does. He completely flips the script. He doesn't give a number. Instead, he basically says, hey, stop worrying about everybody else and start focusing on you. The whole conversation shifts from how many to how, and puts the responsibility right back on our shoulders. And that personal path? Well, it begins with this really foundational idea in the homily. God's call to salvation is not for some exclusive club. It's an open invitation to absolutely everyone.
And this verse right here is pretty much the bedrock of that whole idea. Father Blair really hammers this point home, that God's starting position, his deepest desire, is for every single person to find their way to him.
And this invitation is just incredibly wide. It goes beyond all the lines we draw for ourselves, nations, race, politics, you name it. It's a call to union with God. The homily even points to Vatican II, which says that even people who don't explicitly know Christ, but who genuinely seek God and follow their conscience, they're not left out of this call either.
So if the invitation is for everyone, what's the catch? Well, it's not really a catch, but it is a specific path. And Jesus describes it with this really powerful image, the narrow door.
Now, when Jesus says to strive, to enter, we really have to understand the original Greek word he used. It is intense. This isn't about just, giving it a try. The word implies a serious, all-out struggle, like the effort you'd see from an Olympic wrestler or even in hand-to-hand combat. It's a powerful, active word.
And striving, this struggle, it's not a one-and-done kind of thing. The homily uses this great quote from St. Josemaria Escrivá to make a crucial point. The spiritual life is a constant process of starting over. It's about beginning and beginning again, which keeps us humble and reminds us we haven't just arrived.
And ultimately, the homily makes it clear that this narrow door isn't some obstacle course or a tricky gate. It's a person. Jesus himself says, I am the gate. So striving to enter the door really means striving to enter into a deeper relationship with him, to follow his example, and to live a life that's defined by radical love for God and for other people.
Okay, so this whole idea of striving and actively working on our salvation, it flies in the face of a couple of really common beliefs out there. So let's break down these two popular, but as the homily argues, mistaken ideas.
So on one side, you have universalism. This is the idea that in the end, everyone gets saved, no exceptions. And on the other side, you've got eternal security, which you might know as once saved, always saved. The homily argues that both of these ideas kind of miss the crucial role of our free will and that ongoing effort.
I mean, you can totally see the appeal of universalism, right? It's rooted in this beautiful idea of an all-loving God. The argument is that a truly loving God just wouldn't allow anyone to suffer forever, and that his love will eventually win everyone over. In this view, hell isn't really eternal. It's more like a temporary timeout.
But the homily brings in this powerhouse quote from C.S. Lewis as a counterargument, and the key issue here is human freedom. God's love is an invitation, not a compulsion. We have the actual and kind of terrifying freedom to say no to that love, to choose ourselves so completely that we'd actually rather be in charge of our own misery than a servant in paradise.
Now, that second idea, eternal security, it suggests salvation is just a past event, like a one-time transaction. You said the prayer, you got your ticket punched, and now you're set for eternity no matter what. But the homily argues that this creates a really false sense of security. And the perfect person to argue against this? St. Paul himself. I mean, seriously. He doesn't talk about his salvation in the past tense like it's a done deal. He says, I press on. Present tense. He's still running the race, still striving for the goal. If St. Paul didn't think he was guaranteed a spot, it kind of suggests we shouldn't either.
And all of this, the universal invitation, the narrow door, the need to strive, these misconceptions, it all boils down to one central theme: your choice. According to this teaching, when you strip everything else away, you're left with this number, 2.
In the end, there are only two possible eternal outcomes: complete union with God or complete separation from God.
And that idea of separation gets a really powerful explanation from a quote by Timothy Keller. He basically reframes hell not as a place God angrily sends you, but as the natural trajectory of a soul that has freely chosen a self-centered life. It's the final, eternal result of consistently choosing your own way apart from God.
And so that brings us back to the beginning, but with the question turned right back on us. The homily makes it so clear. Jesus is an open door that no one can shut. So the final, lingering question for all of us is this: if that door is always open, what does it mean when we, with our own free will, choose not to walk through it?